Well, the man who's allegedly in charge of organized crime in New York is Funzi Tieri. Criminal experts say that he took control in 1979 following the murder of Carmine Galante. Right now, Tieri is on trial for conspiracy in Manhattan federal court.
The boss of the families decide who is going to be made as to how they have produced in the past years. They don't make people every year. They make people maybe every 5 years, every 10 years. They open the books. They have these tremendous books. They're going to open the books, and we're going to make 15 people, new members of this organization, because 5 of our members have passed away, and we need to replenish with new blood. So the bosses decide as to who is going to be made as to what they have done in the past years, as to how they produce for the organization. And years ago, they used to make members of organized crime families because of the way they conduct themselves, meaning, you, my friend, go out and you kill Joe Schmo, and you kill Boo Baby. You know, they got all these crazy names. And after you do that, we'll recognize you as being a good fellow, and we'll make you a member of our family. They don't do that anymore today. It's more sophisticated. You go out and show me $1 million profit on a certain interest, a certain business deal, and you show us $1 million profit, and we'll make you a good fella. We'll make you a member of our organized crime family. When you're a made member of a family, it demands respect. People under you and people in the street. Once a person is made, the whole world knows he's made. Because it's important to have that statue there. Well, now you're made. Now, I demand respect. And you have to give me respect because they know the consequences. You don't fool around with made men. The honor amongst the organized crime in the Italian families is tremendous. There is so much honor there. You could run into Carlo Gambino on the street when he was around and never know. He would fit in with anybody. You would never know this poor, meek, humble man was the boss of bosses and the boss of one of the biggest crime families in New York, or the biggest crime family. They might call him the old man because he was getting on in years, but he definitely dominated all the families. Nobody could get away with anything, which means if somebody can't try to come in and take over some of his territory, they could never do it because of his powerful, big. It's unbelievable the size of his family and the power the man had accumulated during the years, not only on the streets, but with politicians and cops and all kinds of people that he had literally corrupted. The family is basically based on violence. And we are not talking about the normal everyday beating or a slap in the face. We're talking about murders to show that I am still the boss and you are not going to try and override me. And that is proven in many cases. There have been many cases where people have been murdered just for the sake of showing that I'm still the boss of this family and it's going to be run my way. And a perfect instance of that is an individual who was a captain in the Colombo family. His name was Mimi. He had control of Coney Island, which is a vast area. Coney Island is a big area, a large population. And he had all the numbers and the shylocking and everything, but he still answered to the boss. But Mimi had a terrible problem. He liked to drink. And when he drank, he didn't care who the fuck you were. You could have been Carlo Gambino. And if you walked into the restaurant where he was at and he didn't like the way you looked, he says, hey, you look like a jerk, Carl. But he was drunk. The liquor was talking for him. And this was a situation that actually happened. In a restaurant in Coney Island, Carl walked into. And who's there falling on his face? But Mimi. Now, Mimi has his own crew, 20, 30 men who work for him. And because he insulted Carl, it was decided that this man has no respect. Respect is a big thing. and he had to eventually die. So Charlie Moose Panarella, who was also a captain in the Colombo family, got the contract to kill Mimi, and Mimi was killed. Now, his crew, these people who worked for him, cherished the guy. They loved the guy. He supported them. You know, everybody made money with him. And one night, there was these two members of the Colombo family also, but of Mimi's crew, are sitting in a bar called the 1717, which is on 86th Street in Brooklyn. And they're talking, oh, geez, you know, it wasn't right what they did to Mimi. We're going to have to get our guys together and take a stand or do something to Charlie Moose, because everybody knew Charlie Moose killed Mimi. So, as they're talking about it, the bartender overhears it. He just goes in the back, he drops a dime, right? Tells whoever's on the other end what's going on. Tommy Babushka and his friend go out to the car across the street, and they get in the car, and the next thing you know, 2 shotgun blasts from a shotgun, and they are dead. So this shows you the control that they have over their own people. Funzi Tieri was the boss of the Genovese family. Now, this individual here is a meek and humble man. He is nothing to look at. He, I wouldn't say was more than 5'9" and weighed 140 pounds. A nothing man. I was partners with him in a business enterprise. And in my business enterprise was a made member, a captain in the Genovese family who Funzi was the boss of. His name was Louis LaRocca. Now, Louis LaRocca is a monster of a man. He is a monster. He demands respect also because of his fine position in the Genovese family. He has his own crew. He answers only to Funzi Tieri. Now, in one situation, Louis LaRocca is 6'2", 280 pounds. He's a monster of a man. And there was a situation where we were behind in our rent in the flea market. And I ran into Funzi, and Funzi asked me, how are you doing in the flea market? And I said, well, Funzi, we're behind on the rent. Now, here's this little meek man saying to me, you tell that motherfucking Louis to go and get the money or I'm going to cut his balls off. This little nothing here. Telling this guy. And I go back to the flea market, and Louis says, did you see the old man? I says, yeah. He said, what did he say? Did you tell him we're behind on the rent? I was embarrassed to tell Louis what he said. He says, tell me what he said. And I tell Louis, the old man says, go get the money or he's going to cut your balls off. The guy must have got a diarrhea in his pants when I told him that. He was so scared that he ran out and got the $5,000. Now, does that show you the respect or the fear that they have for this man right here? And it's not only Louis LaRocca. It's everybody in the family. They're bigger than the government. They get in all the legitimate businesses you can, make it legitimate, but you still have on the side all your illegal businesses still bringing in incomes. And it's more and more money and more money and more legitimate things and more illegal things. It's just a vast, vast empire.